One of the reasons that we started the book was because people in international relations didn't seem to be interested in Grenfell, and we felt that there was a lot of reason why they should be. Once we got working on the volume, we realised that there were an enormous number of people out there, activists, artists, poets, musicians, who also had really important contributions to make. Well, what we had was a really interesting discussion. We had a large number of the contributors to the volume come and speak about their contribution on housing, on colonialism, on the legal side, and what the inquiry can do.
And one thing that I really wanted to make clear in my contribution was that whilst the terminology around the fire was often a tragedy, something terrible that should never have happened, what people didn't really want to ask is why did it happen, and why did it happen to these particular people, and could it actually have happened to anyone? And I think one thing that I wanted to bring out is that it was very clear to the people it did happen to that it could happen to them, and that it was going to happen to them.
And we also had Tony Walsh, whose poem was included in the volume, come and present his poem in person, which was just a wonderful experience, I think, for everybody involved.
Always stocks and shares, not housing stock, not sharing, but demeaning. Does it take this council kid to point out equities, two meanings? While they're cutting. But now with people adding family members to remember in the embers of their cladding. Let this be the day we see the way to honour all their names, inequality and poverty, austerity, in flames.
I think the poetry was really powerful. I do think it keeps it alive in people's minds, and that the people who are affected actually get rehoused and actually are cared about widely.
Today, what I want to do is to highlight the ways in which the bereaved and the survivors of Grenfell, although struggling with unimaginable losses, have consistently sought to force the state to listen to what Loki refers to as the ghost of Grenfell still calling for justice.
Today's event was both a traditional but also an untraditional book launch. The question and answer session that I thought was a little bit better than standard because we had time to formulate questions. We didn't go straight in. It was a little bit more contemplative and reflective.
Well, there was a question in the session there about what role academia could play in response to issues like Grenfell, and its social reform, social movement, social progress in itself needs all types of contribution, from people at grassroots with lived experience to academia, and perhaps between the two I spoke about the role of artists to convey complex situations in simple, emotive words. When we're looking for social progress or in response to situations, academia, grassroots people, artists, we've all got a role, and I think the book embodies that.